Hey, all right, it's Monday, January 11th, and this is your 15-minute market update for all things related to Des Moines real estate. My name is Les Sulgrove from Simply Des Moines and via Realtors, and each week I provide a weekly recap of local real estate information, including home sales, new listings, pricing, and more. So please take a minute and hit the subscribe button in the lower the lower right-hand corner of the screen, and also click the bell icon so you'll see a notification each time I have a new market update. So, hey, thanks for being here. Let's get started with the show. So this is the weekly recap, main screen, and down here in the lower left-hand corner, you notice here we've got 2,169 homes currently on the market for sale, and that is down 49 from a week ago. The yellow numbers at the bottom there indicate a plus or minus versus the same period in 2020. And so you can see we're also up a little bit on our days on market with 16 days on. That increased 2 days this past week. And our month of inventory is pretty much where it was. We were at 2.5 last month, and we're at 2.6 months of inventory this week. Homes under contract have dropped a little bit, not uncommon in January as people kind of get back to work that first week after the holidays, and real estate kind of takes a back seat a couple of weeks here into the year until we kind of get resettled. So I'm not totally worried about that at all there. Closed sales started to come in this week. If you remember last week, we showed 0 sales for 2021, but we've had a full week now back. Everybody's back into the office, and we are now officially kind of back on track. And median sale pricing here has kind of come up a little bit this past week. We're at $238,900. That's $4,000 increase over the previous week. So the top story, first of all, we kind of have a little follow-up to our last week's top story. You remember I talked about how we were going to hit about 16,600 total sales as soon as more sales come in. Well, this past week, we have gotten in more sales, and you can see now we're at 16,634. We're going to continue to see that rise here for the next week or two, at least through the end of January. But I wouldn't expect too many more than this, maybe another 150 to 200 sales actually, but I do not think we're going to get enough in there to put us over 17,000 sales this year. So 16,634 is where we were as of Sunday. The other top story this week also goes back to last week when we were talking about new construction and price increases, and I had asked the question, when will we see price increases arrive for the 2021 inventory? And that answer was resoundingly this week. In fact, this past week, we had 242 homes had price increases. And just to give you an idea, we average about 48 in 2020 every week, 48 home price increases each week. But for the week of January through 3rd through the 10th, we saw 242. And that's out of 1,073 new construction homes that are currently out there. So that's a 1 in 5 percentage increase. The average increase price on these homes was about $1,900. So some pretty hefty increases in pricing here this last couple of weeks. We typically don't see resale properties, existing home sales increase. Occasionally we'll get a little bit, but nothing like $1,900. So that's kind of a big deal there. So let's jump into the weekend review and look at what's happened for the week from January 4th through January 10th. New listings added, we picked up 32 over last year. We're at 197 new homes came onto the market, 242. Again, there's that price increase, and that was 225 more than we saw last year at this same time. So you can see that was quite a jump. 127 price reductions this past week, and that's actually down 81. We typically see a few more of those as we move into the new year, but with such low inventory, there's not a lot of motivation to do a lot of price reductions. Accepted offers were up this last week over the previous year by 35, ending the week at 205 accepted offers. And if you look at that 205 versus the new listings, we've outpaced our inventory, which is a good sign. Back on market, we've had 63 homes that were under contract, kind of fell apart and came back onto the market, and that's 15 higher than the same time last year. Home sales, again, we talked about that 152. A year ago, we had 13 more homes under contract than we did at this time. So we're a little bit behind there, but nothing, again, to really get too concerned with. Open house traffic, 476 homes held open this weekend. That's up 40 over last year, but the largest percentage increase is by new construction. Almost the same number was held open last year. And you notice down here is on the left-hand side, that yellow indicates the plus or minus versus 2020. But I'm also adding here a little a green star each week. And you can see if we have 9 areas here on this graphic, and if we hit all 9 stars, that would be considered a 9-star week, one where we have improved in every category over 2020. And this week we have improved 6 out of 9. And we were a little bit higher in price increases. Obviously, our back on market was up, and also our year-to-date sales was behind. So really, I expect us to, maybe next week we can be our first 9-star week of the year. That'll be kind of fun if we can do that. So anyway, keep an eye on that. This is also where we'll kind of keep our eyes open for anything that's, maybe changing there. So let's take a look at a new feature here called the Spotlight. We talked about this again, introduced this last week. This is the Spotlight. This is where I'm going to spend a little time talking about a topic that changes each week. And the topic this week we're going to talk about is the end of December highlights. December market statistics are out. This report was sent out by email to my monthly newsletter subscribers. A link to this report, as well as a way to subscribe to receive my emails, my monthly emails, will be in the show notes below. But this report provides you with a month-end wrap-up, year-over-year comparisons, breakdown by property types, and then some metro market activity. And I thought what I'd do is I'd take a minute here and let's just kind of take a peek at just a couple of the stats out of here, just to give you a flavor for what's in that report. The first one is months of inventory broken down by price range. And this is just a testament to how strong our real estate market is right now in the Des Moines market. You can see up to 600,000 price point. We are in a seller's market at the end of the year, December 31st. In fact, you went all the way up to 900,000 in an even market, and it was up to 900 plus where we actually finally went into a buyer's market. This number here, 17 months of inventory, looks pretty high, but there's just such few number of homes for sale that really, if there's a lack of maybe 10 sales that we normally would have, or even 5 sales, that'll push this months of inventory over to the right. So the higher you get with the less inventory, the more volatile or the more fluctuating those numbers are at the top. Nothing to be concerned with. That's just the way it is, because the bulk of our inventory sits down here in this lower price point. Another part of the report that's kind of worthwhile looking at is our December homes for sale by month. And this is the last day of each month recording of, for example, compared to 2020 at the same time versus 2019. So in December 31st, we ended the year with 2,267 homes for sale. A year prior to that, December 31st of 2019, we were at 3,647. And you can see that this has totally been an opposite year of what we've been used to. We usually get into May and we start to see our inventory build until about September and then fall off. And we've just pretty much seen our inventory continue to slide all year long. And how this has affected our pricing, we ended the year at 275,000 median list price. And a lot of that increase in pricing has to do with the fact that we're dipping into some new construction pricing. Some new construction pricing has kind of come down a little bit to meet the buyer demand, and that's kind of helped pull the pricing up a little bit. So a year ago in December, we were at 253.9, and today we're at December of this last year, we were at 275. As far as closed sale units, we were at 1,416 closed sales in December versus 972. This is all driven by a late September, early October push of business. And so that's not unheard of. 229.5 is our median sale price. We've kind of maintained around that 230, 232 price point there. The last thing on this report that I'll point you to is the months of inventory versus the last 4 years. And we ended December at 2.2 months of inventory. Remember, right now we're at 2.7 months in January, so it's jumped a little bit. But it's, again, not uncommon for us to be higher in the first part of the year. But the end of the year, this at 4.6 is where we ended last year. So just kind of interesting times that we're in. So let's take a quick peek at what's going to happen here next week. This is a preview of what will be our spotlight for next week. And this is part of my 2020 year in review. We're going to talk a little bit about pricing, properly pricing your homes versus testing the market. You can see that for 2020, I've done a lot of analyzing this past weekend. And you can see if the home hadn't had a price reduction, it typically sold around 98.3% of list price, where if there were price reductions involved, it was 6.7%. I'll tell you that in previous years, there's this number difference has been much wider, but because we haven't had a lot of price reductions this past year, homes have been selling closer to list price, even without the price reduction. Days on market, though, still does tell the tale. So if the home does not have a price reduction, it's in 2020, it sold on average about 7 days after going on the market. But once it started to have that price reduction, it took almost 6 times as long to sell. It's at 45 days. So this is kind of the data. This is just a screen capture. I'm going to share this with you next week, but this is a breakdown of the reports of pricing, for example, down by the month here. So here's that 98.3, 96.7, 45 days and 7 days. This report will also break it down by homes that sold within the first 2 weeks. They sold a lot closer to list price, obviously, and within 4 days. And then I've also got this broken down by month. This is single family resale. Also, we'll have it broken down here by price points, 0 to 200,000, 200 to 400, and then 400 and above. And then I'll also do the same thing for condo townhome resales. We don't really do this much on the new construction because the days on market are just so out of whack, because there's a lot of those are basically out there as proposed construction, and then it just doesn't make sense to do this report. I will go more into detail next week, though, about these two categories here, pending days and total days. And I'll just give you a quick indication of what these are. Of course, this is days on market. This is from when the home is put on the market until it gets an offer accepted. But pending days picks up from when the home went under contract and how long it takes to close. So that took, on average in 2020, single family resale took 46 days. So your 45-day closing was pretty much the standard. And then the total days is from the date the home was listed to the date that it actually closed. So the date the lockbox goes on to the date that the lockbox comes off in 2020 was 85 days, was typical for most homes that were on the market. So just kind of a fun graphic for us to look at next week. I'll have some reports and maybe an offer or two for you to entice you to subscribe. And we'll take a look at that again next week. So, hey, with that, pretty much done this week. It's been 15 minutes or less, and I appreciate you taking your time this week to join me. And I hope you'll hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, go down to the show notes, and you can click on the links to if you have questions or if you want to sign up for my weekly newsletter, you can do that as well there. So with that said, thanks again for joining me, and we'll talk to you all again next week.